Welcome back to Maula Cognition. Today we are discussing about jihad or Islamic spiritual warfare or obligatory moral resistance, moral and spiritual defense. So this is a very sensitive topic and we are going to go deep into this. So what is jihad? Jihad means spiritual as well as worldly struggle, physical struggle against evil, against wickedness and corruption. This is what jihad in Hinduism or Sanatan Dharma is called dharma yuddha. Dharma means moral principles. The holy book in Hinduism is called Bhagavad Gita. It is revealed in the battlefield where Sri Krishna or Paramatma, the Supreme Soul, instruct Arjuna to fight their own brethren in the battle of Kurukshetra, because the brethren, they were immoral, they were devoid of principles, religious and moral principles. They were spreading corruption on earth. But Arjuna, the king, the warrior, he doesn't want to fight because these are relatives. So he is instructing Arjuna about body, mind, soul, and saying that you are only killing their body, means you are only killing their body and releasing their spirit from corruption of ego, self-worship, pride and arrogance. So do not worry, although they are your brothers and sisters, but the human soul, the spirit, it is immortal, it is from Almighty, it is from Paramatma. Only the body can be slain but not the soul. So he is instructing Arjuna and actually helping him to overcome emotional struggles to go for a battle. So the soldiers are trained in the previous days about how the body, mind and soul are created and how the soul is existing even after the body is dying. So the body is called the body and mind, how it works, it is called the place of nafs or nasut, the realm of material existence and material conscious. That, for example, if a person faint, is material conscious cease to exist. He become unconscious. But beyond the material conscious that comes from the brain, body and the nerve system, there is spirit of human that is beyond the material system. Parapsychology, they discuss the human ability beyond material or physical sensory system. This is another topic you can research. So that's how the previous nations, there were kings and rulers, there were always battles. So Islam is teaching when you go for a battle how you should organize yourself when you attack a nation or when you defend yourself from an attack from another nation. So medieval era, whether it's the Muslim world or Christian world, is known for battles, crusades. If you search in Google, you can find 30 years war in Europe, war between the Catholic nations and Protestant movements all over Western countries. Long lasting war, over 30 years there was a war. Different rulers, kings, they declaring war against each other in other Christian nations. So Islamic text actually preaching those moral principles, giving guidance to the nations. Those who want to rule according to the law of Islam, they are giving guidance for the nations how to wage war or how to defend yourself. Islam is teaching the defense policies, defense strategies, diplomatic strategies, everything in the book of Jihad or the book of battles or Malahim. Battles are called Malahim, Malhama. Malhama is battle. Jihad is struggle to uphold the principles of battle. But the Muslims, they don't follow Islamic law of battle. For sure, they don't follow. Muslims, Christian and Jews and others, everyone called for Geneva Convention. The Shari'ah or is the laws of Geneva or the laws of international organizations, Amnesty International, Geneva Convention, United Nations Conventions. This is what in international world it is followed. But the Muslims are calling for following the Shari'ah. So in the same way, the Christians and Jews can call for following the New Testament and Old Testament law. But these modern Islamic group, they are doing a pseudo jihad. They are doing a forbidden jihad in the name of Islam. Because if they claim that they are doing this for establishing Islamic State or Sharia, then they should stick according to the Sharia principles before they go for the war. The Sharia or Islamic law actually demand if you want to go for a war, it should be systematic, organized, and you need to have a king or a sultan heading the war. Even Islamic prayer in the mosque should be established by a sultan or a governor of sultan according to the Hanafi school of law and according to majority of the Sunni rulers and Sunni theologians and Sunni jurisprudence, that Islamic community prayer or Jummah or Jamaat, especially the Friday one, it should be established by the Sultan. And in the name of Sultan, the Friday sermons are read in the mosque. But today they don't follow that. There is innovation. The mosque, Jummah, Friday prayers are an innovation according to classical Islamic law. Because the Friday sermon is recited or read not in the name of any sultan or anything. They just read by themselves, just reading some Quran and hadith. That itself is an innovation. So Maula Cognition is speaking about all this thing, and we're going to say that this so-called jihad, it is corruption, because the first duty of jihad is to save people, civilians, women, children, elders. But the so-called jihadi cults and jihadi groups, they don't have a social care, health care, asylum support. There is no system or anything in place. These nuts think they get a supply of AK-47 and some grenades and rocket launches. They think that is jihad. Some big arm dealers, they are making a money and business, and this is the deception of Antichrist, that all these arm dealers and truck dealers, they are military truck dealers, they are making just a business, fooling people in the name of Islam. So let's come to the point. Muslims are the biggest group that insult Allah and His Messenger today. This is what Maula Cognition is saying. The false jihad is a mockery on Allah and Prophet Muhammad. According to Quran, saying that chapter 2 verse 246, saying, have you not seen? So it's asking to see. See how? See according to the spiritual eye. The prophets have got the spiritual eye to see the past, to see the present, and to see the future. Have you not seen the chiefs of the children of Israel after Moses? So he's asking Prophet Muhammad, have you not seen? He has to see, otherwise if he say that I haven't seen, that means that the prophet doesn't have visions. They said to one of their prophets, appoint for us a king and we will fight in the cause of Allah. So you need to have a king, that's king or sultan or a legitimate leader appointed by the consensus appointed by the Lord, but even in Islam, the caliphate is appointed according to the consensus of the people. It's not directly Allah is appointing. The Muslim Sunni world didn't accept the direct appointment by Allah. That's why the Sunni world is in a mess. So it says that to fight in the cause of Allah, you need to have a king. You need to have a sultan. That's very important. Malik, you need a Malik or sultan. These people are already driven out from their homes, but they can't go to fight out against their enemies. Why? Because they need to have a king. Children of Israel, they were in exile. They don't go out for fight unless they have a political leader, a responsible political leader and a state. They can't go out to fight. It's against the law of Torah. It's against the law of Islam. So when they were ordered to fight, when they had a king, they ordered to fight, they fled. That's what it says. Children of Israel were in exile, in slavery in Egypt. They didn't go out to have suicide bombing or attacking Pharaoh or Egyptians when they were slaves in Egypt. They obeyed God. Where are today's Muslims? They are not even obeying Allah and His Messenger. They are obeying their own ego, their own impulses. Quran chapter 25 verse 43. Chapter 45 verse 23. This rebuking this hypocritical Islamic world. So these Israelites, they didn't go out to fight because they don't have a political leader or president these days or prime minister these days according to the consensus of people elected by the democratic consensus of people. Those days they didn't have a king. The king didn't appear among them. But these days, even counterfeit fraud sheikhs like Luqman Effendi is saying he is the Sultan of Istanbul, and what is he doing there? His people are just sitting there having their breakfast and dinner, and they are claiming that they are waiting for us Ottomans to come back. So they're claiming they are the Ottomans. Luqman is the Sultan, but they are waiting Ottomans to come back. That's another joke because these delusional people, they are confused. This world is in a confusion now. So you need to have a sultan to fight. That's what the Quran says. Quran chapter, if you don't have a sultan, if you don't have a legitimate authority, but you only have a truckload of AK-47 grenade and rocket launchers, then you are a disbeliever. If you are fighting, you claim to be, you are a deceiver, you deceive yourself. There is a sickness in your heart, and Allah let your sickness in, and you will receive a painful punishment. So painful punishment is decreed. You don't find victory or solace. When you are said, do not spread corruption on the earth, you are saying you are reforming, you are bringing peace and salvation for your people. So according to Shari'ah, this is very important thing. America can invade any country and colonize and annex any country. British, the King of England, if he wish, according to Shari'ah of Islam, according to the Shari'ah of Old Testament, he can go anywhere and invade any country and annex any nation. According to the same Shari'ah, the Israeli government, the leaders of Israel, the political authority in Israel, Ulul Amr, they are Ulul Amr Minkum, they can invade any country and they can fight and kill any nation that oppose their invasion or those who are fighting against them. But when that happened to the Muslims, Muslim groups, they are saying, oh, Israel is violating international law, or Israel is doing this. If Muslims are given an opportunity to do a jihad, Muslims will go and murder everyone and annex other countries. Muslims are waiting to annex Rome, India and other countries, even Islamic groups. Even in the past, so many of the people who invaded in India, they even same way they insulted Allah and Prophet Muhammad by misquoting the Quran and hadith about the Ghazva, Hind, or the conquest of India that we are going to discuss. They insulted Allah and Prophet Muhammad by using those hadith and claiming that they are doing Ghazva hind. These are all impostors. These are the real people who insult Allah and Prophet Muhammad. So Israel, America, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, all these rulers, the legitimate rulers, Russia, they have the right to fight and invade or annex another country according to religious books. But when that happens, the same religious clones, they are saying, oh, we don't want this religious law or what God has allowed in the religious text. We want Geneva Convention, we want United Nations law, we want human rights law, secular laws. So even these Palestinian protesters, even these Kashmir protesters, even these Ukrainian protesters, everyone saying they want their democratic law. They don't want what the Bible law says. They don't want what the Quran or Prophet Muhammad is saying in the law, that a nation want to invade another nation, it is allowed. Go and ask any of your wicked demonic scholars, what does Islamic Shari'ah say about a nation invading another nation? So if you as a Muslim, you don't have the means and guidance, means the guidance of Sharia, you don't fulfill all the guidance of Sharia to fight back that nation, you have to accept your conquest. And you have to seek peaceful treaty with the conquering or invading nation, so that your children, your elders, your family, you can seek peaceful way of negotiation to protect your family. Otherwise, the Prophet says, be a better son of Adam, break your bows, cut your sword blade against a rock, smash it against a rock, and be the better son of Adam. This is what the hadith says in Sunan Abu Dawud. But you are the so-called cloney jihadis, they don't speak about this thing. This is what the Muslim world is completely absorbed in deception and ignorance by corrupt and misguided scholars. So if another nation invade, for example, if Iraq invade Kuwait, Kuwait can fight back with all their supporters and allies. But if Kuwait is unable to fight back, they can surrender. But there is no permission to go and blow up bombs and rockets and grenades among the civilians that settle in that country. This is a very important point. So when another nation invade a nation, they should seek arbitration and protect civilians who are already living there, making arrangements, negotiations and diplomatic relation with the invading ruler of the invading country. So many Bangladesh and Pakistan had war. Nobody said we are doing Ghazva in Bangladesh. Bangladesh was part of India as well. They say, oh, Bangladesh we cannot call Ghazva, fighting in Bangladesh against Bangladeshi nationalists, we can't call Ghazva. We call it Ghazva only when we fight in Kashmir. We can't call Ghazva hind if we fight in Bangladesh or the East Bengal. Why? Because the majority are Muslims. And they were part of Pakistan before. But India was ruled by Mughals and Delhi Sultans. How can you call it Ghazwa then? And India have more Muslims than in Bangladesh. So why are you calling conquest of India Ghazwa? You are number one plain nutters. You are insulting Allah and Prophet Muhammad. You are the biggest mockers of Islam, your own deen. But you don't perceive it because you are blind fools. Blind and arrogant fools. So we have these issues of terrorism around the world in the name of Islam, in the name of jihad, in the name of all this wicked crap. So again we coming back to the point, Muslim countries that recognize Israel, you can see Egypt, Jordan, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco, Sudan. Morocco and Jordan, the rulers are Sayyids. According to one of the hadiths of Prophet Muhammad says, this matter will remain with Quraysh, means the matter of the authority of political authority of Islam, even if two of them remains. But even you look at the hadith that has been distorted, for example, it says there will be 12 caliph after me, all of them will be Quraysh. So the Prophet said only 12 caliph after him. If that hadith is true, then the caliphate must end after the 12th. There should no more caliph, but the Abbasiyya, Ottomans, they all called their own political authority caliphate. If Prophet said only there will be 12 caliph, then who are these people? They're supposed to be kings or sultans, and they can't call themselves caliph because the Prophet already said there is going to be only 12 caliph. So who is mocking Islam? Who is insulting Islam? Otherwise, you have to say Imam Muslim mocked and lie about Allah and the Prophet. They wrote false hadith. And all these people who narrated these hadiths, they were false. Everything cannot be true. If one is true, the other one is false. In Islam, it's like in Sunni Islam, it's like everything is true. Jesus is the word of Allah, but Jesus is no more than a messenger. Chapter 4 verse 171 says Jesus is a messenger of Allah, his word and a spirit. Chapter 5 verse 75 says Jesus is no more than a messenger of Allah. Who is messing up with these verses in the Quran? And caliphate will remain with Quraysh even if only 2 remains among them. Then another hadith says there will be 12 caliph, all of them will be from Quraysh. Then what about the 13th person? Can he claim to be a legitimate caliph? What about the Ottomans? Can they claim to be a legitimate caliphate? This is a problem. What about Imam Mahdi then? Can he claim to be a caliph? Because he's not 12th or something according to the Sunni narration. But according to Shia narration, the caliphate starts from Imam Ali, Imam Hassan to the 12 Imams. It extends over a span of a spiritual caliphate. So who is right, who is wrong? Everything cannot be right. But Islam is dealing with everything right. And the so-called people like Luqman Effendi or Leukemia Effendi, because he got leukemia in his intellect, is saying Ali is right, more right, but Muawiyah is also right. So according to one of the saying of Prophet Muhammad, if a Muslim give protection of shelter or treaty with a non-Muslim, it is bound by all the Muslims. So if Jordan, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain and Morocco, especially Morocco, Jordan Sultan is declared as Caliph of Islam by Sheikh Nazim al-Haqqani. Maulana Sheikh Nazim al-Haqqani here tell King Jordan His Majesty Al-Malik Abdullah ibn Hussein this discussion. Sheikh Nazim says, O great blessed King of Jordan, from the family of Prophet, who is the representative and carrier, who is carrying Arabs, also carrier of all Muslims. That's a very important thing. And he is saying, O Majesty, O Your Majesty, I ask forgiveness, O King Abdullah of Jordan. Sheikh Nazim al-Haqqani asking forgiveness from King Abdullah. And he's saying that King Abdullah must declare that he is inheritor to be the Caliph from Rasulullah. I'm the one who will raise the banner of the Prophet. And he should have 3 regiments, His Majesty. The regiment of Sayyidina Muhammad, the regiments of Mahdi, and His Majesty's regiments. So Sheikh Nazim al-Haqqani is speaking here, declaring King Abdullah of Jordan to be the Caliph of Muslims is a very important point. So according to the law of Prophet Muhammad, if King Abdullah or any other Muslim ruler or a Muslim, so if King Abdullah or any other Muslim ruler gives a protection or a treaty with a non-Muslim country or an individual, it should be respected by all the believers according to Prophet Muhammad. So these jihadis and these so-called terrorists, they are not honoring the consensus of Islamic world. According to those narrations, there cannot be any retaliation against a foreign nation or an individual from non-Muslim world. That's a very important point. Imam Ali bin Abi Talib is reporting here this hadith. So the Quran also says to the Jews, you have nothing to stand until you observe the Torah and the Gospel. The Torah says, love your neighbors, love your foreigners, because you were foreigners in Egypt. Israel has a duty to love the foreigners as they love themselves. This is what the Torah says, the Holy Book. So the Muslim must honor the treaty made by Muslims. That's a very important point. So here in further hadith we can read more things. In the end of time, young people will come, foolish in mind, reciting the Quran, which will not go beyond their truth, uttering the sayings of the best of creatures, going through the religion as an arrow goes through its target. So these people go through the arrow as an arrow go through the target. Their faith will not pass through their throat, it doesn't enter their heart. They will go out of Islam as an arrow go out through the target. If you meet them, then kill them. His Prophet is ordering to kill the terrorist. For killing them will bring a reward to the one who killed them on the day's judgment, day of resurrection. Israelite under Joshua, their ruler, is going out and completely destroying their enemies, those who fight against them. No annexites were left in Israeli territory, only in Gaza, Gath and Ashdod did any survive. Joshua proceeded, Prophet Joshua alayhi salam, peace be upon him, he is doing all these things. But Israel is not in war against Druze or Baha'i faith or other faith. There are many Muslims living in Israel. Over 20% of Israeli population are Arabs and most of them are Muslims. So many Islamic companions of Prophet and others, they migrate to Constantinople, to China, to India and to other places. They married and lived there. They didn't think, we have to live in an Islamic state, we have to live in a country that rule according to Shari'ah. They didn't do that. Many of the companions and their followers, they settled in Kerala in South India. So if Islamic Sharia forbid migrating to the land of infidels and settling there, is a very important point. The whole incident that happened in the whole Muslim world over 1400 years shows what kind of corruption has gone in Islam as undertaken by Islamic corrupt politicians in the Middle East, in the political Islamic world. It is clear evidence. So if Muslim rulers recognize Israel and have normalized political and diplomatic ties with Israel, all Muslims are supposed to honor that. This is according to Islamic Sharia. But the Muslims are looking for Sharia only in meat, only in their bank accounts, in their mortgage sometime. But only a few, maybe 20% Muslim look for Sharia in the mortgage. 100% Muslim look for Sharia halal laws in the burger and chicken chips and in pizza and in the meat shop. That's why you have halal meat shop everywhere. There was no halal meat shop in the time of the best of generations. The Muslims migrated to other countries. There is no record that they opened a halal meat shop. There was no halal meat shop in Constantinople. No halal meat shop in Kerala, India. No halal meat shop anywhere else. Because Muslims bought animals and they slaughtered it. Or they work with people of other nations, and the Muslims slaughtered meat, and the people of other faith, they distributed or sold it. Muslims eat the meat of Jews and Christians. They didn't open halal shop in Christian or Jewish countries. There's no evidence in the entire Islamic history, well and up until probably 200 years ago, there was any halal meat shop in any of the Christian world. According to so many narrations, the Muslims have been in England for so many years, so over a century. When did the halal meat shop, halal monitoring committee came? It didn't. Muslims were happy to eat the food of the people of the book, Christians and Jews. So there is so much paranoia, confusion, misguidance, deception. So many things are happening. And because people want to create gap, create hostility, divisions and discord, because that will give business. That will give a food industry business, manufacturing business. Creating divisions in the society, political division will give arms deal business. Creating divisions in any other field give other kind of new business opportunities. So nuts are after this thing. That's why the corruption has consumed all religious people. So is there jihad? There is no jihad. There is jihad. Jihad against your own ego, your own evil deception, against your own hypocrisy. Wage jihad against your own hypocrisy, your own fraudulent behavior, your own arrogance and pride. Before you launch jihad against someone else's arrogance and pride, someone else's hypocrisy and double standard. So there is no permission according to all Islamic law. Muslim can't fight against any other nation without a king or sultan leading them. But the kings and sultan of the Islamic world, they are wise and understanding. They are normalized their relationship or ties with Israel or any other countries. So people with foolish mind and foolish thought, they are teaching you this wicked pseudo-demonic jihad, and other people are made to believe that you are defending Islam, you are defending or you are practicing Islamic jihad. You are not practicing Islamic jihad. You are practicing the demonic jihad. And you are even using the hadith about Ghazva, hind, or the Imams will conquer India. I mean, the Prophet said Muslims will conquer India. This is the hadith. The group that invade India, and that group will be with Isa ibn Maryam. So it's not about your wicked, demonic India-Pakistan war. It's not about any other things. It's a very important point. But this Ghazwa Hind is used by Pakistani Muslim scholars, politicians, to confuse people, because the Pakistan want this thing to happen. That's what it is. To exploit religion, thereby mocking Allah and Prophet Muhammad. Ghazwa Hind, or the conquest of India, is a spiritual conquest. When Messiah comes, the world will be without any governments, without any political state. After the big war, the World War III or the Great War, Armageddon, all the nations will collapse. And there will be no legitimate political authority in any of the countries. And to establish dharma or moral principles and political law and order, a group of people under Isa ibn Maryam, Jesus Christ, will go and invade India and bring law and order in India. India means the whole Indian subcontinent, South Asia, all the way Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, modern day India, which is comprised of over 29 states. So that's what Ghazwa Hind. And that group will be with Isa ibn Maryam, that is in the hadith. This is a very important point. That group who invade India will be with Isa, Jesus Christ. But this Ghazwa Hind has been used since the time of Delhi Sultanate, Mughals. All of them used these religious doctrines for their own advantage. That's a very important point. And these days Pakistan is using. Maybe some extremist group in Bangladesh is also using Ghazwa Hind. So these are Muslims have been deceived. They are the one mocking Allah and Prophet Muhammad. Modern jihad or modern Islamic extremism or extremist ideology, whatever they preach, is an insult to Allah and Prophet Muhammad. Is enough for anyone to understand. So don't be fooled by all these jihadis and terrorists thinking that this is Islam. This is not Islam. This is falsehood. This is wicked, demonic. Wassalamun ala mursalim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin.